Well, thank you very much, Chairman Enzi. Congratulations on your assuming the chairmanship of this important committee, and we're delighted that Director Elmendorf is here with us today, and we look forward to his testimony. Mr. Chairman, the good news is that our economy has come a very long way since President Bush left office in January 2009. At that time, we were hemorrhaging some 800,000 jobs a month. Our financial system was on the verge of collapse, and the deficit was $1.4 trillion. Over the last 6 years, the economy has made substantial progress. During the last reported quarter, we saw very strong economic growth of 5%, and last month the economy created another 252,000 jobs. This is the 58th straight month of private job growth. Further, the federal deficit has been reduced by more than 2/3 since 2008, and federal deficits over the next decade are estimated to be about $4.7 trillion lower compared to what the CBO projected in 2010. That's more than what the Simpson-Bowles Fiscal Commission called for just 4 years ago. All of that good news, however, does not tell the full story of what is happening in our economy and what is happening to the lives of tens of millions of working families in all of our states. While we must continue to focus on the federal deficit, we must also be aware that there are other deficits in our society that are causing horrendous pain for the vast majority of the American people. There are deficits in decent-paying jobs. There are deficits in the infrastructure, deficits in income, deficits in equality, deficits in retirement security, deficits in education, and deficits in trade. Let me briefly make 6 points. 1, the United States today is experiencing more income and wealth inequality than any major country on earth, and more than any time in our country since 1929. Today, if you can believe it, the top 0.1% own almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%, and one family owns more wealth than the bottom 40% of Americans. Since 1999, the typical middle-class family has seen its income go down by nearly $5,000. Meanwhile, since the Wall Street crash of 2008, 95% of all new income goes to the top 1%. In 2013, 25 hedge fund managers made more income than 425,000 public school teachers. The simple truth is that the rich are becoming much richer, while the middle class continues a 40-year decline. This committee, Mr. Chairman, in my view, must address that issue. 2, while unemployment has fallen significantly over the last 6 years, we must be mindful of the fact that real unemployment, which includes those people working part-time when they want to work full-time, and those people who have given up looking for work, is not the official 5.6%, but over 11%. Further, and we don't talk about this, youth unemployment is close to 17%, and African-American youth unemployment is close to 30%. In other words, while we have made some progress in reducing unemployment, we still have to create millions of decent-paying jobs. And in my view, the fastest way to do that is to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure, roads, bridges, water systems, wastewater plants, rail, etc., and we can create millions of jobs doing that, and that is an issue that this committee must address. 3, at a time when millions of Americans are working longer hours for low wages, we need to substantially increase wages for low and middle income workers. Today, the minimum wage, after adjusting for inflation, is about 1/3 lower today than it was in 1968. To equal the purchasing power of what the minimum wage was back then, we would have to raise it to $10.88 an hour. Furthermore, we have got to reform our antiquated overtime regulations. There are supervisors in McDonald's who work 60 hours a week and make $27,000 a year, and they don't get any overtime. So I think this is an issue that this committee should address. And 4th, if we are going to lower our deficit, invest in our economy to create the jobs that we need, and bring about more income and wealth inequality in our country, we need real tax reform. It is unacceptable that each and every year, millionaires, billionaires, and profitable corporations avoid $100 billion in taxes by stashing their cash in the Cayman Islands and other offshore tax havens. It is unacceptable to me that huge profitable corporations like General Electric, Verizon, Bank of America, and Citigroup have in recent years paid nothing in federal income taxes, and in some cases have even gotten huge rebates from the IRS. That is an issue that this committee should be addressing. 5, at a time when the United States is engaged in an extremely competitive global economy, it is unacceptable to people throughout this country that millions of our young people can't afford to go to college and are leaving school deeply in debt. We have got to address the issue of college affordability and making sure that in a competitive global economy, our kids can get the education they need. And last but not least, in the midst of the obscene level of wealth and income inequality that we are experiencing, the United States has by far the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth. And I would trust that there's no person on this committee who is happy that 20% of our kids are living in poverty. Further, millions of seniors and disabled people are struggling to put food on the table. And over the last 6 years, as this committee knows, the cost of living adjustments for Social Security have been incredibly paltry. 0%, 0%, 3.6, 1.7, 1.5, 1.7, not keeping up with inflation that our seniors need. According to some of the most recent statistics, 20% of seniors live on an average of just $7,600 a year. In 2013, half of all older adults lived on less than $21,000 a year. Bottom line, we have got to move aggressively to expand benefits for our Social Security beneficiaries. Bottom line to me, Mr. Chairman, is when we put people to work, when we have the best educated workforce in the world, people will be paying more taxes, our deficit will go down. That is, in my view, the way we deal with deficits. And thank you very much.